Thanks for staying with us. President Cyril Ramaphosa has moved the country to level 2 lockdown and eased some restrictions in an effort to revive South Africa's ailing economy. Let's get reaction now from the Black Business Council. President Elias Monage joins us via Zoom from here in Johannesburg. Elias, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Adjusted level 2, some might say. Why stop at level 2? We need to go to level 1. Your reaction to the president's speech?
I think, thanks, Marcel, to your viewers at home. I think, firstly, the number of areas that the president didn't address, particularly the gaps. He mentioned that men, they are reluctant in terms of taking the vaccine, but he didn't outline any plans from government. What are their plans? How are they going to encourage men in terms of taking a vaccine? That's the first part of the gaps that we have identified. Secondly, the other point is the race between vaccine and virus and the recovery plan. The three, they're not in sync. And the reason I'm saying they're not in sync is because we tend not to address the economic recovery in terms of how do we deal with the continuous problems where the economy continue to take a major backseat in terms of job losses, people continue losing their jobs, lack of recovery plan in terms of the road ahead, because we are more and more talking about the vaccine, and there is no clear plan in place in terms of how then do we deal with the economic recovery under the current economic conditions. President, yes, spoke about people needing to take vaccine so that they can go back to work, but there is no clear, distinct, clear program in terms of how we're going to encourage people to take vaccine so that eventually we can then open the economy to its full capacity. The other part of the issues that the president have not addressed is the impact of the small businesses that they've suffered severely for the past 2 years or so, including even lack of UIF or TERS administration, because there is a huge backlog where individual employees and companies, they continue to suffer in the absence of a faster and expeditious process in terms of those claims being attained and achieved by individuals. The other part that we find it rather odd when the president talks about a vaccine passport, because we need then to engage various stakeholders in terms of dealing with the issues of vaccine. To what extent are we then going to have, whether you want to call it a vaccine passport, its impact and implications? The other area that up until now, I mean, the point that was raised by a number of speakers to your program, there's no clear position in terms of how do we deal with the champions or the ambassadors for this vaccine, because we might then say people are not taking any vaccine, but there is a lack of champions, lack of people that in various communities and institutions, they are the ones that they champion and encouraging people to take the vaccine. So those are some of the issues that in our understanding, government, they're not addressing them. Equally so, you then look at various areas in the townships, the township economy have been paralyzed to date. I mean, the gogo who sell things at the corner next to a car wash have not been considered at all. And we continue then talking about easing the restrictions, but those restrictions are not assisting. And then I think the point that was raised by my colleague from BOSA is a valid point, that we continue then to talk about easing the restrictions, but they're not helping the broader business communities at large, including even the individuals, because even if we then talk about the restrictions in terms of curfew, when people, they travel from A to B to the places, they need them to be at early. They need to resume their normal duties at 7 o'clock. It then means they need them to travel earlier from their residential places. And equally so, those who are working night shift, they basically need them to leave earlier or even later. And those are some of the issues that are not being addressed because it impacts on the pockets of the individuals. And I think those are some of the issues that there are gaps in the presentation from the president. And I think from our side as Black Business Council, we acknowledge and welcome the easing of the restriction from level 3 to level 2. However, our expectation was that we thought we'll then move to level 1 so that some of the issues can then be addressed and dealt adequately so. And I think one of the points that we'll then raise, I guess, with the government is around the question of addressing the mitigation risk. How then do we mitigate the risk in an event where we're then to open up? Because A, we don't have any clear plan in place why men are not taking a vaccine. 2, we don't have any rationale in terms of why then the curfew moving from 10 to 11 o'clock, what are the impact and implications? And those are some of the issues that need to be addressed. The other aspect for us, there's no connection between the vaccine virus and the recovery plan in terms of saying consistently what are the things that we need them to do in dealing with the recovery for the economy, because we continue week 1, week 2, week 3 on a daily basis where the economy continue then to lose certain things. And I mean, if you lose an opportunity to export to the continent, surely the recovery is not going to be realized in the next coming few years if one were then to talk about those areas. And I think we will extend our hand to the president and the team for an engagement in terms of addressing some of the issues that the president have raised, particularly around the question of the vaccine passport, to talk about the ambassador and the champions, to deal with those gaps that we've identified, including even the questions that some of the health professionals they've addressed, because the question cannot just be limited to health. We need also then to look at the living conditions and the livelihood of those individuals across the country.
We're unfortunately going to have to leave it there. That's Elias Monage, President of the Black Business Council. Elias, thank you so much for your time. A long list of questions, they're important questions that hopefully you will be able to take up with government. And unfortunately, that is the case. When the President makes speeches like this, various sectors will have questions, and important ones for various industries, especially coming from the Black Business Council. And it seems key, a golden thread going through those questions is a lack of information and a lack of direction for those, especially in the small and medium enterprises sector of the economy. And let's hope that they can get those questions answered sooner rather than later. We'll